Today we are just going to go over a basic outline of what a bowling math lesson plan for fractions would look like. As you can see, this is the worksheet that we'd be using. It has 10 circles in it in the formation of bowling pins and a little note at the bottom. For the beginning of the lesson, we're going to go ahead and discuss prior knowledge and things like that. This lesson is set for 5th grade, a general education classroom, around 24 students, and the lesson should probably take about 30 to 40 minutes. For this lesson, you are just going to need either worksheets that you have pre-made or dry erase boards with markers. You could use an iPad or a Chromebook. And then it's always a good idea to have some sort of extra manipulative in case a student needs help understanding fractions and they actually need to do it with their hands instead of just seeing a picture. So in order to assess the prior knowledge, we would go ahead and just discuss with the class, can you think of a different way to define fractions? So a student might say as a part of a whole, or if you cut something in half, or like pizza slices would be a fraction, different things like that. The next question would be, can you give me two different fractions so that we can see which is bigger? If a student were to give you 1/2 and 1/3, you would show them how if you cut a circle in half, then that's what that looks like, and if you were to cut a circle into thirds, that's what that looks like, and a third is smaller than a half. You would ask them to figure that out on their own, or you could demonstrate for them and just kind of talk about how you figure it out. And then the next question would be, do you understand how to find the least common multiple? If you are just introducing this topic, you're going to want to discuss it more. If not, you can just kind of ask them how you explain to do it. Frequently, students will answer, make the denominator the same as a different denominator. If it's 1/2 and 1/5, you have to make them the same. And how do you do that? So you just want to assess their prior knowledge. As we get into the main lesson, the target for the day is to be able to determine fractions from a word problem and to understand that you can add fractions with different denominators. So if you were using a dry erase board, you would have them draw 10 circles. As we're using a worksheet, we just ask them to flip to the first worksheet and explain to them that we are going to go through the exercise 3 different times. Each time the questions will become more difficult. So the first round of questions is that just kind of the player knocks down this many pins, mark those on your sheet, and then tell me what fraction of the pins that he knocked down. So we could say on the first attempt, the player knocked down 4 pins. Mark the pins he knocked down in red. What fraction of the pins did the player knock down? So obviously you'd space those questions out. So the first question that we would ask, on the first attempt, the player knocked down 4 pins. Mark the pins he knocked down in red. So I'm going to go ahead and mark off 4 pins, whatever they can put it in whatever order they would like. So we mark those in red, and then we need to write down the fraction of pins that the player knocked down. So he knocked down 4 out of 10. So we can write 4 out of 10 right here. And then if you want them to simplify it, you could do 2/5. The second attempt, when you go through, you would do the same thing. You'd mark them down in green. So he knocked down 3. Sorry, it's not as thick. And then the third attempt, again, the same thing. However, when you are going over the second and third attempts, you not only ask, you're asking how many of the remaining pins did he knock down. So for the second attempt, he knocked down 3 of the 6 remaining pins. So obviously, he knocked down 1/2. If you were to ask them how many pins did he knock down from the original number, he would have knocked down 3/10. So you can reword the questions any way you would like, but that's just how you would begin the lesson.